We're talking to Eric van Heerden today. He's a very well-known and liked person in the Helderberg, not because of his sterling personality, but because he makes booze for us.
Wow.
Eric's the owner of Triggerfish Brewing and also part of the Floating Dutchman, which is my favorite rum. So Eric, thanks for having us here at the brewery. We're inside his office.
Yeah.
So if you hear some ambient noises, that's because they're still busy making booze.
Well, thanks for coming.
So we just came out of a hectic ban where it was, 5-6 months? Where
5 months, we were closed for 5 months.
Closed for 5 months. So
Closed for business, nothing.
Nothing.
Nada.
And when you could open for food but not booze, did you guys give that a shot?
We didn't open,
Yeah.
no. We ran the numbers and
Yeah.
it would have cost us more to open than
Yes.
to not stay closed.
And now, did you guys have an inside knowledge of when they are going to so how did you prepare for it? How did you know when to start making beer? Because what's your shelf life?
We didn't.
Shit. Yeah.
We just make sure that we always have beer.
Yeah, that's
And
crazy.
luckily, with quite a lot of our bigger beers, they've got a long shelf life.
Okay.
They actually improve over age.
Oh, wow.
And everything that we have on site is refrigerated. So even with the lighter beers, there's not a real problem that they
fantastic.
go off. We've had to rebrew one or two of the very light beers because they are the most susceptible to aging.
Okay.
And sometimes the aging that you get has a bit of a pleasant result.
Yeah, that
Because
makes sense, yeah.
Quite often you'll find that a beer that gets older than that would be like a crispy lagery beer gets this honey-like character,
Okay.
and that comes with age.
Yeah.
And then people would say, "Oh, we love the honey ale that you made," and it's a slightly older sweet lips.
But now, could you ever duplicate that taste? If you age it at the
absolutely.
same, okay, so it's doable.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You can actually duplicate it without aging it. You can just use slightly different ingredients and still get that taste.
Awesome.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
And all these jars we see around. So I know very little about the brewing process. Okay. So, but when you make beer, then the alcohol is part of the natural fermentation, right?
Absolutely.
So, but then you can distill the crap out of it, and then we have that stuff we had that one time. I don't even know what you called it. Schnapps, you called it.
Schnapps.
But I was like, Mampur, man. That shit was so harsh. Is that what happens? You distill the beer many times, and then you end up with that?
Yes. Look, we always have some runoff beer that doesn't end up in your glass or in your bottle. And we typically catch that. We don't want to lose it. And then we boil it in the still. And you get a clear spirit. And depending on how high the alcohol volume is, it may taste like Pampur or not.
And do you ever play around with that to consider it for sale?
We don't sell that.
Okay.
No. We have quite a following of our German friends who like beer schnapps. And, we make a couple bottles of it a year.
Yeah.
So it's not like we want to turn it into a business, but I give all of that away.
But that stuff's rough, and I only drink it because Eric would always offer it to me at the end of the evening when I'm already wasted. And then,
You would drink anything then, though.
Dan is sterk gedrink. That's when you go home and drink more and smoke a joint.
That's friend and family stuff.
So, to give a bit of background, I discovered Triggerfish quite randomly. I think it was either late 2012 or 2013. You've been here since then, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I remember driving in here with my girlfriend at the time, and it was the first time that I drove into Paardenvlei, and my mind was blown. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, because then it wasn't so...
How many girlfriends back was that?
a couple. But it wasn't as developed as it is now. It was beautiful, because this was an old ammunition testing ground.
Well, it started out. It was the first dynamite factory in the southern hemisphere.
Oh,
Yes.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
it was.
part
It
of
started,
Swamp wasn't it?
Right at the end of round about 1895, around there. And the dynamite that was used to blast the big hole at Kimberley mostly came from here.
What?
Jeez.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so the structures and everything here is amazing. It's so beautiful, that rough industrial look. And I drove in here and I thought to myself, I've lived at that stage. I've lived in the Helderberg for like probably 12 odd years, and I was like, I've never seen this. I was like, it felt like I drove into a different country. And then we didn't even know about the brewery, and we ended up here. I was like, oh, look at this. And it was still only, I think it was only the tap room. That was the pub.
The brewery, my office was the original tap room.
Okay, no, but when I came, that was the tap room already.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
pointing like people can see me.
Where the current bar is situated.
Yeah, that's what I mean by tap room bar, right? Yeah.
That was the whole tap room.
Yeah.
And then that was in 2012.
Yeah, that's what
that was 2012. We actually got that part of the building. We started here, got that part of the building in April, May 2012, because we wouldn't have been able to do the winter out of this office.
Yeah.
And then the following year, we got the long space where the stage is.
Yeah, where the first stage was in the little corner. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then we got that section, and that was 2013. 2015, we got the next part of the building.
I think the first time I played on, when you had the stage on the later part of it,
yes,
next to the pottery thing, like when you had that stage, I think the first time I played that stage was after I lost my leg.
But you know what? You were booked to play the open mic.
I know, I remember. Yeah, I remember.
When you lost your leg.
I remember,
and you called Paul and
yeah.
said, I can't play tonight.
I still told him, Paul, can you organize someone to play in my place? I had an accident, I'm in the hospital. And Paul's like, don't be a pussy. I'm like, busy cutting my fucking leg off.
Oh, that's so
and then I was still, after the accident, it was probably 2 months after the accident, I didn't have my prosthetic yet, so I was still on crutches with 1 3/4 legs. And I got on the stage with my crutches and we played at the open mic. That was awesome. Yeah, so those open mics, that's come a long way. Yeah. Yes, you remember those old winters when there would be like four people in here, and 3 of them had guitars, and the other one was
me
you.
and Flick.
And Paul.
And Christo.
Yeah, so those were crazy days. And then that shit exploded. I'll never forget the one open mic. I'm going to try and remember who played there, but it was when the stage was in the corner that I spoke about before we moved. There was one evening where the place was packed. The acts were amazing, and it felt like people went to a show that they paid for to see an act. It was amazing. It was like a full-on rock show. It was beautiful. And since that night, it's just grown and gotten amazing. Now the shitty nights are better than the great nights were then.
Yeah. No, I mean a slow night on the first Wednesdays would be like a normal Friday night.
Yeah. Yeah, so this place has become a really, really amazing platform for local artists. Like really, it's like one of my top 2 venues in the Helderberg to play at or to watch bands at. It's always an experience, and it kind of feels like you're home. You know, like it feels like you can say what you want. Yeah, I like to talk a lot of shit off stage, and the people get it. You know, there'll be like old people, like lank. They'll be like really like 60, 70 grandmas, grandpas, and the people are really into it. I've been here that this old guy who could hardly walk came up to me. He's like, I really enjoyed that. I was like, yeah,
that's so cool.
You know?
Yeah, but it's cool. We're gonna try and do this first coming open mic on the 2nd of September. We're gonna try and get all the guys who were here on the first one.
Oh, nice. You should do that. That's a great idea.
That's beautiful.
So it's Mark and Henk and Christo and
sure, that'd be fantastic.
Tony and Judy's sons.
Yeah. Damn. Did they play the first one?
Yes, I think that's who played the first one.
Damn.
Wow.
That's very exciting.
That's special, man.
And it's going to be the first Wednesday, yeah?
Yeah, always the first Wednesday.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
It's so off the record. Nodig iemand om klank te doen daai aand.
Weet jy, jy's altyd welkom om klank te doen.
Ek sal continue vir my
Ja, nee.
Okay.
Jy's welkom. Dit sal baie help want ek en Ozzy hier flipping
But Dolph is actually busy mixing a live EP, which we recorded in February. And it's the first work that I really hear the process of him mixing it. But he's played me stuff like I mixed this for this guy, and then you listen to it, but it's done and it's there. But this I know it was a tough gig, and I remember hearing it the first time thinking we cannot use this shit. and to going through the process, and now it's like, whoa, the shit is hot. Yeah.
When you can, you can.
Yeah.
So before we get to the stories of your past, the brewing thing, how did that? So the first time you started 2012, right?
I started in
Here at
I
Triggerfish.
first sold beer commercially in November 2010.
But here in the Helderberg.
In the Helderberg, it was at Lawrenceford Market.
Okay, so you brew it at home.
I
And-
brewed it in my garage,
and you sold
and
it
I
there.
sold at the market. Then from November 2010 till April 2011, I sold beer through someone else at the Slow Market in Lawrenceford. And then we moved in here on the 1st of April Fool's Day 2012.
Okay.
And we started building it. It was an empty space. There was nothing.
That's crazy.
No plugs, no
Whoa.
lights, no nothing.
Sure.
It's come a long way since
Yeah,
then.
it really
Yeah.
has.
But your interest in it, did you ever?
It was a hobby.
So you never imagined this is going to be my job. It was like,
It's still not my job. It's still fun.
yeah,
So-
yeah, oh, wow. Not a lot of
and-
people can say that.
No, look, it's my business and it's fun. I don't do everything here. I've taught people to brew. I've taught people how to run the tap room. I own a business. I don't have a job.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
So that's stressful most of the time, especially when they close you down for 5 months.
yeah.
But if I wanted a job, I would never have employed anyone. So to me, I'm really passionate about beer. So I still do all the recipes. I taste every batch of beer that we make multiple
every batch.
times.
Yeah.
And we make quite a few batches of beer a month.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
enjoyable. But I started as a home brewer, and I homebrewed for about 3-4 years before I started Triggerfish.
But how technical was that to be able to sell it, to get the permits and whatnot?
Well,
at the market, just you
At the market, I was brewing at home, and I sold at the market. And I was what they called the informal sector. You will hear our Minister of Finance since then till now, multiple ministers of finance always go up on the stage and they talk about the informal sector. Now, I always said when I started, I'm that informal sector they're talking about. Didn't do all the paperwork. First saw whether this was a business or not. And then when I realized, let's see, November till about February when I hired the space, I only could move in April. But in that time I said, okay, this is a business, and I started doing the paperwork because I said, okay, typically when you have a liquor business, it's not a big problem because the liquor board's not going to do anything to you. They don't have teeth or much teeth. Stick with their rules and you're okay. But even if you don't have a license, they're going to give you a slap on the knuckles. But the guys who are going to put you in jail is SARS. So
dang, yeah.
I've always been scared of them, and I will always stay scared of them, and I keep to the straight and narrow there.
Yeah,
so I
that's
said,
wise.
okay, I'm now starting to have my own branded beer. I'm at the market. The Stellenbosch office is in Stellenbosch. They probably have seen me already and wonder where this oak is. And at the time, I was looking for the Holy Grail or the unicorn. And that is a premises that has a very high footfall, very prominent in the touristy place, and has a nice low rent and a space where I can brew and a space where people can sit. And it's a unicorn. It doesn't exist. So at the time I said, okay, what now? And I decided I'm going to rent industrial premises because it's easy to get the license, easy to register with SARS because it's within the rules of manufacturing. And a friend of mine, not a friend of mine, I looked all over and it was bleak because all you got was these little factory sets with paving in front, and you look straight into another factory's roller door. That was the view. And my cousin, who lives in the Kalahari and makes horse riding saddles,
Oh, wow.
knows people everywhere. Leon Liversage, if you want to go and look, Liversage Trail Rider Saddles.
Must put him in touch with Joe.
Yeah. So I spoke to Leon and I said, yeah, I'm suffering to find premises. And he said, well, I know someone in Somerset West who's lived there all her life, and I can't even remember who it was. And I called her and she said, now that you ask, last week Heartland ran a presentation at Paardenvlei, which was the old dynamite factory, and they are going to open those factories and start renting them out. And I came in, saw the guys, they showed me a couple places, decided on this, and the rest is history.
Sure.
That's nuts, because over here you've got everything that you need for space and all, but you don't get the feed. So you guys exclusively was you. I mean, other than the idiot me who stumbled upon the place because I was curious what's in there. Like, how many people? No one walks past here, you know.
No.
So you had to put the muscle in.
We single-handedly had to bring every person who came here.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and the market had a lot to do with it, because although I was selling beer to Magda, the lady who ran the German bratwurst stand, at wholesale price, I would go there every single Saturday, be there 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, set up my beer tap and talk to people about beer. Because remember, those days, we were literally the second craft brewery in the Greater Cape Town area.
Yeah, sure.
Only Boston is older than us.
Yeah, Boston's in Hermanus, right?
No, Boston Brewing Company, they are in Baden-Eiland.
Oh, all right, okay.
And at the time, they brewed two other very well-known brands. They brewed Jack Black and they brewed Darling, and they brewed their own. And why you thought Hermanus was because one of their famous beers was Boston Whaletail Ale.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking about.
Okay.
So Whaletail was also brewed by Boston.
Okay.
And they basically made everyone's beer, and I started.
Yo, that's crazy.
And then the whole explosion happened after.
Because when I started coming here, like, the word wasn't that well known, the craft beer thing. Like, I knew it as a microbrewery, you know?
Ooh.
And then it became sort of hipster, and I still like to call it a microbrewery.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
that's nuts. Okay, so now to go back, there's one story you taught me once, and I don't remember the entire story. We were not entirely sober that day, and you told me about the first time. You come from Pretoria, right?
I do.
Okay, that's right. So, and you told me about the first time you met Steve Hofmeyer, and that's also the first time that I heard you say drop the P-bomb. Do you remember that story?
Well, my passion for him.
Now that we still...
I can't really remember the story, but it was when I played music at Fingers Restaurant in Sunny Park. And yeah, that's where we met.
Tell the story now.
We were never friends.
Great.
I'll leave it at that.
So was this said word directed towards him?
Yeah.
I
can't
see.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's a big group of people who don't like him, I suppose. I have a question about the live music. So you have all the open mic nights and the smaller gigs and stuff going on here, but recently we've been seeing some really big gigs here. Like Prime Circle played here, the Narrow played here, Parlotones was here. I was here that night helping out with the sound. The place was packed. That's
insane to book acts like that.
So how did it get to that?
You know, it goes two ways. I think Megan, who helped me manage the place for the last 2 years, she's got fire and very ambitious, and she reached out to these guys.
Oh, wow.
And they came here and said, "Yeah, we want to play here."
That's awesome.
And that's how it happened. And I think parlor tones. I think the first Prime Circle gig really put us on the map with the
makes sense.
the higher level bands.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of inquiries about people who want to come and play. So
Okay. Wow, that's amazing.
nowadays it's more of finding a suitable slot that suits us and them.
Yeah,
That's
right.
the hardest part, because quite often you get the Joburg bands coming down to Cape Town. We can't afford to pay them to come down and play.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So when they do a corporate or another gig or what, they come down to Cape Town for a two week whatever stint.
Yeah.
We try and fit in a date,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
it's been
that's
very successful doing that way.
Yeah, and you had Robin
Yeah.
Old and
Robin
and
Old,
Wendy Oldfield. Yeah.
Yes, they've been playing here for years. They play here at least. Robin plays here at least 2-3
Yeah.
times a year.
Yeah.
We've had Arno Carstens play.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, what? That's really
And yeah, we get quite a few of the bigger bands playing with us now.
I think it's one of the few venues in the Helderberg that can pull that off. If I can't really think of more than one
I
or
mean,
two.
I suppose Bertie's have had some.
Oh, true story, yeah,
but
true.
it would always be like the vocalist doing an acoustic set or something like that,
Yeah.
for the most part, at least. So I think the biggest thing is you guys have space here,
Yeah.
and there's the setup is just nice in the way that you can have a door where people pass through and they pay their ticket, and then it's a big open floor, and there's that really cool pottery section at the
Yeah.
end, which works great for a stage. At least that's where the stage was set up for the Parlourtons gig, and I think the setting, the place just works, and I think it's really cool. It's so exciting.
when we configure for the big gigs, it's actually I love it.
Yeah.
I just love the atmosphere of
Right.
it, because you've got this carnival atmosphere in the front, because we always put up the stretch tent.
Yeah,
And we bring all the tables out to the front and we put up 2 additional mobile bars, and people sit out here, and we have an older crowd that comes to Triggerfish, and I mean they come to these gigs. And they don't necessarily want to go and stand there and jump up and down and watch the gig.
Yeah.
They flip and sit outside,
Yeah,
have a
that's
beer,
awesome, yeah.
and some of them have kids who want to be inside. Others just enjoy the evening, but they still come, they still pay their ticket and enjoy the night.
Yeah. Yeah, the biggest shows that I've been here, like the atmosphere is really fantastic. Like I said, you got the tent with the carnival feel. It really feels like a special event. Like it's not just a show; it's like a whole event with its own
Because
feeling.
we reconfigure the whole of Triggerfish.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not the same as a regular Triggerfish evening.
Right, and
Yeah.
I think the bands see that.
Yeah.
I think they genuinely see it, and they're grateful for it, because it's not just like they're using your guys' venue. Like there's a lot of effort and preparation and stuff coming from your side as well.
We put in a lot of money
Yeah.
to put on those gigs, and the first couple of those gigs weren't even break even for us.
Yeah.
Because of the effort and the money we put into running those gigs, because we hire the extra sound, we bring in the stage, we bring in the lighting,
Yeah.
because we want it to be special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah,
Awesome.
Good stuff.
Awesome.
So now from here, like I assume there's not a lot more space you can occupy right here.
No, not really. Not. There's a small section of the building that has gone open now, but it doesn't lend itself
Yeah.
to a public space.
Yeah, but like Dolph just said as well, I mean the space you have is really, really good.
Yeah.
It's already there. And the pottery thing, is that still going?
I've decided really at the end with lockdown now, we're going to close down the pottery.
Are you going to use that space for anything?
I'm going to just for what we've been using it. I'm going to move the distillery into the one section of
Okay.
it, but the front section is going to be used for seating during regular configuration.
Okay.
And especially now with the capacity issues.
Oh, yeah.
It gives us another 5 tables that we
Right,
can
yeah.
have spaced 1.5
Yeah.
meters apart.
Yeah.
So, we can actually with the regulation seating, we can still seat just about 100 people inside.
Oh, wow.
That's
Gee.
amazing.
So
What's it like 1.5 meters? The
it's
tables have to be-
1.5 meters apart.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
so
fantastic.
we've got quite a big space in
Yeah.
there.
That's great.
Yeah.
So.
You know, with regular seating, we can seat 160 in the taproom area. 160 people with the stage view
Okay, so that's really not bad then.
at tables.
Yeah.
Sure.
Now tell me about the Floating Dutchman. 'Cause like I said earlier, that literally is my favorite drum. It's also the first time that I heard of Cape Rum. Is that something that exists?
No, it's something
You guys
that
called
was
it a Cape
created.
Rum.
Yeah.
Because the only thing that I can compare it to is a Cuban rum. Because like it's not like a dark rum that you're gonna gooi Coke with, you know. It's actually I drink it neat. When I buy a
Yes.
bottle here and I take it home, I drink it neat. And the only other rum I can do that with is a Cuban rum. So tell us the story of Floating Dutchman. How did that happen?
Look, Floating Dutchman kind of happened because of friend, a chap, Dirk Prinsloo, who started, like I started with beer, he started making rum.
Oh.
And it kind of started in probably when him and mates had a little bit too much to drink, and they said, this rum tastes shit.
That's not what I expected.
And not his rum. We're going to have to make our own. That's
right.
better.
There we go.
And he took on the dare, and he bought himself a little still, and he went on a distilling course, and he started playing in his backyard or in his garage.
Jeez.
And after I don't know how long, he made a rum that him and his mates thought was really drinkable. And he wanted to grow it into a business, and I happen to have a distilling license, and I have a still, but I never took up distilling because the paperwork around distilling is just too much if you're not going to do it proper commercially. So you have to distill full time. Otherwise, you have to almost employ someone full time to do the paperwork.
Oh, Jesus.
And if you're not going to do it as a real commercial venture, it's not worth it. So I looked at the story, we ran numbers, it looked like it wouldn't work. And we really wanted it to work, so we changed the numbers to look more optimistic on the sales side.
That's business.
And we happened to start it. And that was... It's more than a year ago now since we started really selling it commercially. And it's 2 years since we started experimenting and applying for all the licenses, etc., etc. And I must say it's a good product, and we are ready to go to the next phase where it's going to grow even bigger now.
Yeah. And you guys, you won a Michelangelo award with that.
We won a number of awards.
Like seriously, and that's quite serious. That's a big deal.
We didn't really have our first batch quite ready, and we entered it into the Michelangelo 2 years ago. And in that Michelangelo, we won a silver for the Cape Rum.
Like before a bottle's ever been sold.
Before a bottle was ever sold.
That's impressive.
And we entered a rum that wasn't quite that old into the aged rum category. And got a silver.
Oh my!
So the next competition was the National Spirit Trophy, which is a competition run in Cape Town by a bunch of sommeliers. They also run the National Beer Trophy, probably the biggest beer competition in the country. And I don't know how big that competition was, but they had international judges, etc. And there we won a gold medal for the white rum and the Cape Rum, which was the only two products we had at the time. And that was just after we got our licenses and SARS approvals, etc., and we were already selling.
That's a good way to kick off.
Yeah.
Sure. And then in the 2019, last year's Michelangelo, we got double golds for our Cape Rum and our Spiced Rum.
Damn.
So it's done well.
Yeah, it really is a crazy product, and the marketing as well. It's beautiful. What you guys did with the marketing and everything. I've got the cap, of course. It's beautiful, and like I thought about getting a tattoo of that monkey's head. So that's a really good job. Is that as far as spirits go, though?
Well, you can see those jars behind you. Those are all experiments that we are working on.
If you need someone to test it on, then
we recently got a couple 100 kilos of oranges donated.
Damn.
And we distilled that and we turned it into a triple sec. You know, like Cointreau.
Wow. Yeah.
So we made our own triple sec. That was quite nice. We giving it another try using orange juice as opposed to whole oranges.
Okay.
And that's something that's in the pipeline. I've been making my own limoncello for many years.
What's that? I'm not familiar with it.
Limoncello is a citrus liqueur.
Okay.
But, now we're down in the liqueur range 22-23%.
Yeah.
You typically make it by macerating orange, lemon, and different citrus peels in vodka. And then you add simple syrup.
Okay.
We use a beer schnapps base. That's just my experimentation. There's a bottle there standing with that's got vanilla pods in it. I don't quite know what we're going to do with that. So I'm playing all the time. I don't know if we'll commercialize any of these, but over time we might think of making them available in the tap room.
I think that'd be great. I'm a huge spirits fan. I really enjoy it.
So what was the floating Dutchman that we had that one time?
That was the Cape Rum.
Cape Rum.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
I've never fed you guys
nice.
the other ones. I've only bought the spiced one once, and it's great. But I just prefer the Cape Rum. And that's the only thing that I like to drink neat. Like no ice, no whiskey. I drink on a bit of ice, but that I just drink straight up. I'll never forget the night. I never used to drink neat booze, right? Whiskey on the rocks, no. Like you can give me the best brandy you've got, and I'm gonna chuck Coke in it. Yeah. And then one night, Eric came up to me with rum in one of those nice small glasses he has. And I'm like, hey, lekkers, this is a shooter. He's like, well, you can do what you want, but I'm going to drink it like a normal person. And that first sip I took, I was like, now I get it. Yeah. My very first sip of Cape Rum made me a fan of spirits.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and then that was all I did then. I would come here, like every open mic, I'd buy a bottle. It wouldn't last the week. And then from there, I started drinking whiskey.
Yeah.
So now, like, I love spirits because of that one sip of Floating Dutchman.
That's pretty cool. I have to say, I can't drink any Coke mixes anymore. But I never had Coke. No ways. It doesn't taste good to me anymore. Ever since I started drinking it clean, I can't even just palate the mixture with Coke. It just...
I don't know. I'm down with the Olaf and Coke, bro.
Weet je nee. Ja. Als er nou niks anders is, maar...
I saw a meme today. It's this one angry looking chick and this chick behind her, and she's like, Olaf. It's like, jy kan al 5 diamonds bliksem. I remember, like, the one open mic, your son sneaked me in the back here. He's like, taste this. And he was giving me all these tasters of all the stuff that's not in the tap room and all the strong stuff. And then when you released those strong beers that you sell in the small glasses, I drank that one night, and now I stick to these. And like the idea of a new beer, like, does it come from experimenting and trying to make one beer, but you end up with a different taste, or do you think to yourself, I want a beer that tastes like that?
No, to me, I actually set out to make a beer, and then I design a recipe. And quite often it's quite good first time round, but then I'll make a couple small adjustments until we have a final version.
But so it's like writing a song. You have an idea in your head and you try to get that idea.
That's so cool.
I can't imagine creating something to taste like something that I haven't tasted before.
Yeah, that is quite whack. It's so cool though.
You know, quite often it also comes out of a new interesting ingredient that's around. Case in point, the ancient one.
Yes.
We brew with African wormwood. And I was looking around in the available plants in the Fynbos Kingdom here at something that was very bitter, because I was looking at herbs to use to replace hops as a bittering agent, and wormwood is extremely bitter. So I started smelling, tasting, etc., and I wanted to brew a gruit style. It's called a gruit, Gruit.
I saw that on your board.
Yes, and that's a style that all beers basically were gruits before they started brewing with hops.
Okay.
And so I found this, and then I used it exclusively. I didn't add a bunch of different herbs, which they normally do. And it turned out so pleasant that it now has a following where if it's not on tap, people say, but why isn't there ancient one?
And so it's not a common ingredient in beer?
No, not at all.
Oh, well, now everyone's going to steal your shit.
Well,
They
we
still have
kind
to
of
make
like
it like
to
you
do
do.
things first.
Yeah, there we go. But I remember when I arrived, when I got here the first time, was shortly after my visit to England, and I never drank dark beers. And in England, like on I was a short 10-day holiday there, I drank all the dark beers that I could find. And when I got back to South Africa, the couple of months before I arrived here, it was like nothing tasted nice. And when I got here and I had that, it was like, damn. Then that hooked me. But correct me if I'm wrong, because my head might mess with me. But the first time you did the Empowered Stout, that is you had the breakfast stout?
No, Empowered was the first stout I brewed. Empowered was actually one of the first 4 beers I brewed.
But now, when you started serving that, didn't you serve it at room temperature?
Well, I tried to always serve it slightly warmer than
Because
from the fridge.
I remember like one of your stouts, the first, and I think it was called. There was
No, it was
the word breakfast in
Empowered.
it.
We had the Champion's Breakfast.
Yes, and that the first time I had that, I remember it being very warm, and
Yes.
and taking the glass and thinking, you know what the fuck, man, and then having that first sip and
Yeah.
going, yeah, okay, I get it.
Yeah, you should be serving that at around 11, 12 degrees, not at fridge temperature. It's
What
just
is
hard to
fridge
split.
temperature, like 8?
4 degrees.
4, okay.
Cool.
Right.
In our case, we run the cold room at 4.
No.
Okay, and what is your favorite beer that you guys make?
Oh dang.
Difficult question.
Yeah.
It's like asking who's your favorite child.
I suppose.
But, look, we're in winter, so I lean towards the heavier beers.
Okay.
There's a little list on the wall there that says big beers.
Yeah.
Now, they all 8-9% and over. There are 6 beers that are over 10%.
Sure.
And currently I'm drinking actually more Black Marlin than Monsterfish. Monsterfish, I would say, is my favorite.
Okay.
Black Marlin, I just happen to walk to that tap more often nowadays. I love Stonefish. I really, really like Ocean Potion.
Yeah, I like that one.
In summer, I would more often than not drink Ocean Potion.
Yeah, I think it's the
Probably.
refreshment of it that really grabs
And then,
me.
it depends on what you're eating. If I'm having hot food, like spicy food, I would drink Bonito, which is one of the lightest beers we have, but it's got a bit of buchu in it.
Okay.
And
damn.
it just cools your mouth like you can't believe. It just takes all that heat away. So I drink through the whole range, really. Ancient One, Southern Rite. Southern Rite we brew with only local ingredients. Everything in there is local.
Sure, that's cool.
So yeah, there's quite a range.
Yeah, geez, but we're really glad you guys are back. I mean, to imagine what everyone was doing for 5 months, that's pretty crazy. I was very fortunate that because I work from home and there's no alcohol involved in my industry, I couldn't work for about 2 months. And when it started up pretty good again. So I can only imagine everyone had to sit through all of this. And that's been my biggest concern. Because I pretty much supported, to a certain extent, the lockdown. Because I thought I understand it. But in retrospect, it's hectic. All I could think about was like the waiters, the barmen, like people in tourism and all that. And that started getting to me because, eventually you start getting depressed because you're thinking of all these people out there.
Yeah, and you know
And like,
some of these people.
and and what the hell are they going to do now and everything? So that for me was the most hectic thing. So I'm glad everything is open up now. And I was really concerned, the same as with my industry. When we started opening up, I thought, yeah, great, we're opening up, but who the hell is going to buy jewelry? You know what I mean? And with you guys, I was thinking, yeah, great, now they can open up. I'm not going to go to the bar for a meal and not have a beer. And then now we can buy booze at the bar. Then I started thinking, how many people are actually going to go? But you got your soft opening here tonight. Yeah. And if this is a quiet night, then it seems promising.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I think we'll see. Yeah. 3 weeks from now, we'll see how it goes. Yeah. Because I think there's a lot of people chomping at the bit to go out, to go out.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I think we're going to see a bit of a spike now, and it will probably draw back. I hope we can maintain the momentum.
Yeah.
And then we're going to start having someone singing in the background. We won't have big events.
Yeah.
But we'll have someone live. We'll support the muses as well.
Yeah.
Gian's coming here.
Yeah, I saw it. 29th.
2 weeks from next Saturday.
Yeah.
And I'll start contacting the guys that we know.
Yeah. Dorf's band Silver Jester, they're playing at Tavern. Was it Thursday Oyster this weekend?
Yeah.
So
well, next weekend.
Next weekend. It's pretty exciting to see things slowly but surely getting back.
You know, the thing is, you can't have a event with 400 people. You can have someone play background music while you fill your regular seating. As soon as it becomes an event, you limit it to 50.
People. Yeah.
Eh?
I said, book me and you'll get 10 people. That's safe. No, I've had some of my best shows here actually, where I was well impressed with people turning up. And I must say, it's the one venue where often people don't know you. So it's not my mates, it's not people I've got follows the band on Facebook. I'm talking about solo gigs now. Yeah. But there's been times that I played here solo where the place will fill up with people and I think, oh shit, I'm going to chase them all away. And then the people end up, after they've chatted or whatever, actually listening.
Yeah.
And they stay. You can see they finished their food, they were about to leave, and then they stay. And I'm like, holy shit, they're listening to me. You know, why? Because I always think I'm going to offend the people, you know, because you know the kind of jokes and shit I do on stage.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, even the old people, they get into it, man. It's always good. Yeah. Okay, so you don't have any big acts yet. That's probably going to take a while.
We have a couple booked later in the year that we need to. Well, later in the year, it is already later in the year. Yeah. I think we have.
The Narrow is going to be back.
I know the Narrow is going to be back. We have Jack Parrow booked somewhere.
No way.
Yes.
Shit, I'm there.
But you know, I don't know if it can be done without being open to have a proper full-on gig.
Oh, because you're limited to how many people?
Limited to our seating, but if it's a event, if you advertise an event, I think you're limited to 50.
I don't know if you guys have ever been to Jack Parrow shows.
50 won't fly.
Yeah, no, definitely not. That's not going to cover his petrol. Shit. But
I think we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
But look, we'll definitely meet up with some of the people that we know and like.
Look, we'll come play for 20 people.
Yeah. Christo's going to be around.
Oh, yeah, man. I love that guy. Yes, I love watching him live.
I spoke to Koos. He's coming in November.
Cool.
We've got...
doesn't he live here anymore? Oh, he's coming to jam here in November.
Yeah,
okay.
He's coming to play in November. And then we have... I'm sure Robin's going to do a gig. We'll see when Wendy's around.
Chris is very accommodating when it comes to venues.
Yeah, but
very accommodating
he's not going to play until November.
Yeah.
He's almost as old as me.
Yeah, so he's got to look out.
He's got
to be older than you.
He's a little bit older than me.
You were asking about Jack Parrow?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, it's gonna have to be a while before doing a Jack Parrow gig, because I've been at some Jack Parrow shows and there's literally mosh pits at these shows, you know? So everyone's gonna be crammed together up against the stage.
Yeah, no, that's
the same with the Narrow.
I think
probably. I wasn't at the show, but
same. So we're gonna have to see what happens with regulations and this whole crazy virus.
Dude, when the Narrow played, I was standing with my rum and cola, because I don't get so drunk on them, and I knew it was going to be a long night, so I had a rum and cola, plastic cup, I was right in front of the people with my huge mate next to me. So you don't really at alternative shows get crazy people anymore. So I'm standing there waiting for them, and they got this big intro, and they start the first song, and all of a sudden it's like, poof, I get smacked from behind. Like my run goes everywhere. The sound guy Breers, he comes running to move all the shit away. So I look back and I put my glass on. I'm like, fuck yeah. It was a crazy mosh pit, bro. It was insane.
You know, the most hectic mosh pits I've been in, and I play in a death metal band, okay, so I've been at probably the heaviest shows in Cape Town. The most hectic mosh pits I've been in was Fok of Police Car mosh pits.
Yes, bro.
Because it's like all these groot boermanne, and they just like push you around. It's insane. It's hectic.
The first time I saw them at Kirchenbosch was one of the craziest mosh pits I've been in.
Okay, I was at a Woordfeest gig where I got my ass handed to me, and I kept running back in and was like, okay, this obviously no serious mosh pit. Here I go, and I just get like smacked out.
Dude, and that was my first mosh pit after becoming an amputee, right? So I was there on my prosthetic. I'm like, and I stood there. I'm like, fuck this, I'm going in. Nice. And I did get knocked over, and I got like a fancy scratch on my prosthetic, which I told the guy never to remove.
Yeah, nice, man.
But the people, like, they're so cool. Before my ass hit the floor, they had me picked up.
Yeah, it's very, very help each other, you know. Yeah. It seems like it would be the opposite, but it really is. As soon as someone hits the floor in the mosh pit, it's everyone's immediate priority to just get that person.
Yeah, people give a shit. But it's a great community. The alternative, the metal community, it's great people.
It really is, man.
I remember back in the day when I used to go to the gothic parties, Purple Turtle, Friday nights, they had these gothic parties. So you walk in there and everyone, like the dudes, the chicks, everyone's wearing makeup, like black, and everyone looks really scary. But it was like the nicest people ever. Yeah. And it's the same if you go to like a Metal for Africa, you get the same feeling.
Definitely.
If you come here for the Narrow, like if your granny had to watch, you would call the cops, you know, but it's beautiful. That's rock and roll.
Yeah, man. No, it really is like that. So.
Ja, cool. So voor ons oprap, terug op die musiek topics en ons nou daar is. Wat luister jy deesdae? Dieselfde kak wat jy nog altyd luister.
Pretty much dieselfde kak wat ek nog altyd luister.
Jy's baie into jou classic rock?
Ja, classic. En dan natuurlijk classic.
Lekker.
Ja, ek het nog nooit heavy into classical geraak, maar ek moet sê ek geniet dit. Ek geniet opera ook baie.
Oh, classical musiek?
Ja.
Oh, very nice.
Ja.
Female opera geniet ek nogal.
Ja, opera is... dit is een crazy ding. Ek weet nie hoe jy jou stem op wat punt kry nie, honestly.
Nee, dis hectiek.
Dis die real stemme daai wees.
En as jy dink in die ou dae, daai shit was nie amplified nie. As jy dit live gedoen het, dis insane. Want jy imagine dat, want het is groot venues gewees, die theaters, en niks amplified nie. Wat jy vibes hê, bro.
Daai venues,
projection.
Dit ook, maar daai venues word specifically gedesign om acoustically te amplify.
Ja, kyk.
So ons het soos 'n hele module daarop gedoen, toe ek sound gaan swat het, en dis insane, hoe hulle letterlik...
Ja, daai goed is...
Hulle design alles specifically om sound rond te boons en te amplify op 'n manier wat dit klink as wat persoon opgemaak het.
Hoe het daai die shit geweet?
Ja, dude, hulle het dit uitgefigure met hulle ore. Al die rules of thumbs wat nou bestaan oor acoustics bestaan al vir jare lank.
Dis insane.
Dit is regtig cool.
Dis insane. Maar die hele music ding is om te dink ou het uitgefigure om 'n coil te maak, om 'n pick-up te maak, jy weet. En die shit ons nou deur praat.
Ja.
So Eric, daar's seker nie baie nuut hierso nou, dis nie hulle net reopen het, maar is daar iets nuuts en exciting wat jy ons wil van vertel hier by Triggerfish?
Ag jong, die groot nuwe ding is ons kan bier verkoop.
Ek is net hier op daai ene. Okay, so vertel gou net as ons ek dink ons gaan afsluit nou, hoe lyk dit?
Ja, wat?
Vertel gou die mense waar om Triggerfish te kry, waar om julle online te kry, Floating Dutchman, al julle goeie.
Ja, Floating Dutchman ram op al die social media is.
Ja, al Instagram is.
Ons sal alles link in die description.
Triggerfish Brewing is ook gelink, en dan al die inligting rondom ons events en goed is maar op ons social media. Ons doen gewoonlik goed met Radio Helderberg as ons gigs en so het.
Cool, ja.
So hulle vertel vir al die mense van my ouderdomsgroep wat gebeur, en so 3 ander.
Ek luister nou en dan as dit 'n aanlys show is.
Ja.
Nice.
Okay,
cool.
En om ons te vind, kom Paardenvlei toe.
Ja,
verdwaal eers. Goeie storie uit die ou dae toe ons begin het. Selfs nou nog kom mense hier. Julle moet beter aanwysings aansit. En sê, die staande joke is, hoekom? Nee, want mense kan nie die plek vind nie. Maar jy is hier.
That's so 'n goeie punt, honestly.
Nice one.
So, die groot ding oor triggerfish altyd was nog, jy gaan nie triggerfish doen nie. Jy ontdek triggerfish.
Ja, dis presies wat my gebeur het, ja.
Die eerste keer gaan jy vir 'n rukkie rondry en dan gaan jy ons vind en dan het jy hom ontdek en dan kom wys jy jou pels.
Ten minste wanneer jy arriveer is jy dors.
Ja.
En jy het 'n springbok gesien.
En jy sal nie glo hoe dit mense net as sê. Okay, maar ek is hier.
So shut up, you got it.
Okay.
Great guys, beautiful area. When you drive into this huge place where you're going to get lost, at least you'll have scenery.
Yeah.
Beautiful area, beautiful venue. Come and have some fun at Triggerfish, and soon we'll be making a lot of noise here again. Thanks, Eric. Dankie Dolf.
Groot plesier.
Dankie.
Lekker.
Cheers.
Cheers.